1.4 million, and it veered at the last minute away from the Crescent City, although it got hit. But it went into St. Bernard's Parish, as you just mentioned, which is not that populated a parish. However, the devastation there, and we're looking at it now, is colossal. Do you have any idea of the breach of the Gulf, how far back inland it went?
No, we don't, because we're, as I said, we're just getting out there. We do know that in St. Bernard Parish there was a 20-foot storm surge over the levee, which brought the industrial canal and parts of the Gulf into that parish. All
right, let me just stop you there. So 20 feet above the levee, a levee's obviously there to keep the water back. I mean, that's like a tidal wave.
Yes, sir. It's a levee of about 11 feet. And then when the storm pushed in, a 20-foot tidal surge breached that levee and brought all that water in. We're estimating now, as we get out in our boats, which is the only way to get to some of the families who have stayed, and what we're finding out is several of the families in St. Bernard Parish remained. So we're pulling them off roofs. Fortunately, Louisiana's sportsman's paradise. Before we could get there with our wildlife and fishery boats and National Guard boats, we had sportsmen out there going through the neighborhoods, up and down like mailmen, pulling people off, bringing them to safe ground. Even once they filled up the courthouse on the second floor and third floor with people, they actually broke into a bank building, and now they're beginning to fill that building up with residents of the parish.
Well, anybody who stayed in the pictures of the homes that we're seeing would have drowned. One more question for you, Mr. Ruddick. What is the weather now in Biloxi? Is it still raining there, or what's the situation there right now? Did we lose Mr. Ruddick? Did we lose connection with him? It looks okay. Colonel, I'm going to ask you that question. Now, what is the weather like on the Louisiana coast? We had, obviously, well, it's a miracle we got
that the storm was not coming here at all, and then all of a sudden we're faced with the fact that we have this Cat 5 that's going to hit us head on.
Now, do you have kids?
I have an 85-year-old mother and a 75-year-old aunt who's in the nursing home, so I had to take that into consideration as to how I was going to handle them.
All right. Did you take them with you to Tulane?
I took Mother with me. We tried to get on the expressway to get out of town, but it was total gridlock, so we decided we'd go and stay at Tulane at one of the very large administrative buildings there.
Now, that worked out okay for you, and then you try to get back home?
Well, it worked out fine until the electricity went out in the night, but before then we were hearing all about these surges of water that the city was going to flood and would have to move up to the second floor. And then this morning the fire alarm went on in the building because the windows started busting out and there was a leakage in the building. So we had to get out of the building. So in the middle of this probably still hurricane force winds, Mother and I got in my truck and tried to traverse through uptown through all of these downed trees. There's an enormous amount of downed trees uptown. I think because of the termite infestation in the city.
Yeah, and, sure. Any weakened tree would go down. Now, did you get back to your house?
I managed to get through all these down power lines and finally got to my home. And I'm sitting here with a very large tree on the top of my house. No water, no electricity, no way of actually calling out on the telephone to anyone. And I think I'd consider myself one of the lucky ones.
Is your house inundated with water, or is it dry?
I'm in an area close to the levee, so I'm in a dry zone. I didn't have the water. The major problem for me was the wind and the tree damage, which
right
is just
on top
everywhere.
Of the house. But you're there without any air conditioning, without any power, correct?
No water, no air conditioning, no power, and actually, although I can be called in on the telephone, I can't call out.
All right. Well